it's exciting to see the resurgence of fish skin. And to me, the more people that are working in fish skin, the better. Yaglidu, Sharon Isaac Shunta, David Isaac Shtupta, Joel Isaac Shaiji. So, hello, how are you? My mother's name is Sharon Isaac, my father's name is David Isaac, and I am Joel Isaac. The tricky thing about doing a workshop in a short period of time is there's so many directions you can go with fish skin. I brought in examples of various tanning methods, and then I have about maybe 20 samples of different skins they can feel. And I also brought in deer and moose hide, so you can feel the difference in softness between fish skin that's been softened and mammal hides that have been softened. So I first learned the technique from books. And so I started reading about leather tanning and going through ethnographies. And I worked with an elder, Helen Dick, who's from Lime Village in the Dena'ina area. There actually are quite a few people that have either seen it as kids or have done it, and they haven't sewed this way in 60 years. But they know how to do it. And I'll go to different villages in Bright Bristol Bay area, up in the interior in Glen Allen area, and I wear like fish skin boots, or I'm skinning a fish in the back of a tailgate, and they're like, "What are you doing with the best part of the fish?" I'm like, "I'm making fish skin things," or I'd be sewing, and they're like, "I haven't seen someone do that in like 30 years. So it was a way of me like informally checking what I was doing by traveling and working on these skin projects. So right now I'm working with my native tribe Kanaitsi as the Dena'ina Language and Cultural Revitalization Project. And what I'm really excited about with that project is taking the language and material culture and putting them back together. Luznich. They've been studied in isolation. I've studied them in isolation personally. I've been spending a lot more time looking at the material culture, and now I'm kind of switching gears to see how language comes alongside that. And it really makes a language come alive, and it makes translating so much easier when it's like, yeah, this is, when I'm trying to explain how fish skin feels, there's a verb for it. Like I can't, the English words just aren't there, but there's a Dena'ina word for it. And you can just like, this feeling is what this word means. And it's a great way to teach language. So luznich is a Russian borrowed word that when you're using conjugated with a verb, has to have a noun gender that goes with it. That has nothing to do with sex as far as gender. That means moving knives or moving edged tools. So if you think about what is scissors, if you had to describe scissors to somebody, what are they? They're hinged knives that you move with your hand. So when you're using this word, you have to include that information in the sentence of knives that are moving through the action of the hand. I'm not giving up artwork to do the language work, I'm combining them. So I'm using my thumb. And there's two things. You're wanting to leave as much meat on the fish because it's like food and you don't want to waste and you need to be respectful. But it also saves you a tremendous amount of time scraping if you leave all the fat and the meat on the skin. So if you think about it, you're like doing a pre-scrape of your skin. And this is not a lot of work what I'm doing right now. Scraping with the spoon takes more effort. So I am just peeling it back. And you'll also notice that different parts of the fish may skin easier. Some fish are really hard, don't want to let go of their skin. Other fish just fly out of their skin. The fattier parts of the fish tends to stick more. And I just peel up the rest of the way. And my fin has almost ripped off, so I'm just doing that. And now the fin is attached to the rest of the fish. It's basically the same thing, you're just using pliers instead of your hands to hold the fish. So I'm going to pick up the pliers to help. And that was all that it needed. And I want to go all the way up to the dorsal fin. And then I'm just going underneath the ridge line, the top part. The other thing that's easier about a head is it has gills, and you can hang on to it. Handles are great, but if you don't have one, I'm putting downward pressure on the fish to kind of clamp it to the table with pressure. And then I just pull. And the fin, because these are mostly frozen, the fin will stay in. And I'm just pulling. And then I wrap around my fingers like that and pull off. I don't worry about scaling sockeye because, as you can see, the scales are just coming off.
Hi.
So that's the first step, is skinning and then scraping. After that, we wash it really well with Dawn dish soap. What we did in this workshop is we mixed a tanning solution of glycerin and rubbing alcohol. It's turning cloudy, and that's a sign that it's working. So with the glycerin rubbing alcohol, you just put it in the tanning bath and let it set. And we agitate it a little bit to make sure all sides get covered in the tanning solution. And then after about 24 hours, we took them out and laid it flat out on a table to let it start to dry. It is wrinkly. By the end of today, when we were done working, the fish skins are dry enough to take home, and we talked through some of the projects that people want to make and kind of troubleshot what things they might need to do for attaching it to other materials, and see what types of stitches you might want to use, or the students might want to use for their projects. I'm gonna ask that everyone try the watertight stitch. So I went under, over the top, and then... I don't require in all my workshops the students to use the watertight stitch, but I want them to try it. And then you pull it the rest of the way through? I want them to do it, because passing on that information to as many people as possible is really important. And that is the agreement that I've made with the elders who have given the time and their knowledge to pass it on to me. They want it to be dispersed. And there are a group of us who are teaching workshops. It's not just me at all. There are several people throughout the state that are teaching it. And then there's people who are at home. They're like, oh yeah, I showed my aunt, or I showed my sister, I showed my brother or my dad. So it's the grassroots of it's really exciting. And I think art is one of those unique ways to really change in a positive direction. The goal for me is that person-to-person connection.